Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Rum and Relationships. I'm Rohit,
I'm Gauri.
and today we'll be talking about perhaps the most important relationship of all, and that is your relationship with yourself. And it might seem like a very simple topic, but it is a highly nuanced topic, if I may say so, because there are just so many angles and there are so many layers to this.
Right.
So let me start off by asking you, why is it important for a person to have the right relationship with himself or herself?
I think it's extremely important that until you don't know who you are, how would you know what you want?
But then everyone on the surface seems to know exactly who they are. Anybody who's at any age, even a teenager, knows exactly who he or she is. Somebody in their 30s might know who they are. So we've just grown up to be who we are. And then that's what we assume that this is us. But is there a difference between who you think you are versus your relationship with yourself?
I think there is a huge difference because who you think you are is also influenced by the society in terms of what they think of you, and you start presuming that you are this. So you need to be, I think, the honesty to look in the mirror and look at yourself and see it's not just the way I look, it's the way I am, who I am. What am I capable of? What is my purpose? And I don't say purpose so much, but what do I really stand for?
Right. So when you are saying that, what do I stand for, and identifying your purpose or whatever it is, the way we look at relationships is it's a dynamic that happens between two entities, right?
Right.
And the reason I'm saying entities and not persons is because, well, tomorrow if I have a girlfriend or a wife, then I have a relationship with somebody else. So the other entity being, well, that's somebody else. However, if you take a more nuanced view of the whole thing, your relationship with yourself is also a meeting of two entities. One is who you are, what you think you are, and the other one is how comfortable are you being who you are.
I think that's a very important point, Rohit. The way you put it out is so beautiful because you have to know what you're comfortable, I mean, how you're comfortable being who you are. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think the way you put it out is so beautifully put out because, as you know, I mean, we ourselves keep training, and I'm into confidence building. Rohit and me together are doing internal and external branding. So it's how you really find your confidence, how you find your connect within yourself to be able to make the right decisions in life or look at life in a more you know realistic way, not in a you know because I think the way right now with so much of societal pressures and stuff like that, people have lost their connection with themselves even more, and that comes to confusion. Of course, I've been doing makeup from the last how many ever years, but what does really makeup bring out? Brings out your confidence. It completes your confidence, right? But that's still superficial until that doesn't really connect with your personality and I don't show who I am. Let's say, I go to someone who's really simple and I do all the possible. I do glam makeup for her. Let's say I do a fashion shoot for her. Is she going to be comfortable being that? She's never done that. Certain people would love that because they already have that in them.
Yeah.
So that's how we say the attitude needs to be right. How does the attitude come in? Comes in from who you are.
Right. And then along the way, I feel, if tomorrow one says, I need to examine my own relationship with myself at a slightly deeper level, a couple of factors, at least in my mind, will pop up, which is, first of all, realizing who you are versus who you aspire to be, right? Raising the bar in your own life. And I think one of the essential parts of that is seeing who you are as you are right now, but also recognizing what you are capable of.
Absolutely. And Rohit, I mean, you know, I'm into astrology, and I would say that every person on this planet is blessed with talent.
Yes, I
Right.
firmly believe
Right.
that.
So it's
Definitely.
how you use your talent. The moment that I'm dependent on someone, not knowing what my talent is, or thinking I know it, but I haven't really worked on it, what's the use of it?
Yeah, yeah. So you are raising the bar, aren't you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You're
So
raising the bar.
the more you know what I'm capable of, automatically, I mean, when you're in a relationship, you're not dependent on someone. You're not dependent like actually they close like there's so many people who are saying, you know, I want a man, I want him to take care of me. But first be capable of taking care of yourself. Otherwise, then you become dependent.
Yeah.
And when you become
As him
dependent,
as a provider.
yeah, because then when you become dependent, you also become a burden. You know, in terms of at some point it'll get into the relationship in some way or the other. So Rohit, I can talk on what I understand, me being a woman. Now, the moment that I become dependent on somebody for something, that's a need. Okay, I would not say that needs are not important, but the moment uh, I know what I'm bringing to the table, right? There's more clarity in a relationship.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
take an example for of women looking at men as providers,
Okay, interesting.
right? So I think it would be great if you know the relationship is that way. There's a certain amount, but what is the woman bringing to a table? She needs to still have. It doesn't matter whether you're a homemaker or whether you're a working woman. Please don't get me wrong on that, right? It's about what am I bringing to the table,
To the
to
relationship.
the relationship, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean money or you know whatever assets and stuff like that. That and all is very secondary. You know, it's until I don't have a relationship with myself as to I don't know what I'm capable of bringing to a relationship. Why is the other person who's married to me, right? Then obviously his expectations will increase because he's going to see you as needy. I need, let's say, someone who doesn't like to go for a holiday on her own. She's always looking at the husband. Ki chalo na, kahin let's go somewhere, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That becomes a burden on the husband.
Yeah.
Let's say he's got work. I understand ki theek hai. You know, once in a way you have a deal, whatever. But when it becomes a need, that's where it becomes a problem. So I'm giving a very small example, but eventually I would say it's to know, as I said, that all of us have talents. How are we using it? How are we using it to become better? How to connect with ourselves? They say the most powerful people are the ones who have a connect with themselves,
True. I
right?
agree with that.
Because
Yeah.
then you're not looking at someone because of a need,
Bingo.
right? Not because of a
It's a
need,
preference.
right?
Yeah.
It's a
So I
choice.
think the day you decide to examine your relationship with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you will find a few knocks on the door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and these are what I call as bandits. You know, to put it in the most simplest of the terms, being able to have a proper relationship with yourself means, to some extent, casting out the world for one moment, for a certain period of time, while you examine yourself. Later on, by all means, bring them into your life. But first, start off with examining yourself versus who you can be, what you expect from yourself, what standards do you aspire towards, right? Where have you succeeded in life before? Where have you lacked?
And how can you get better? How can you get better?
Yeah. And in what state of mind, and I think this is the most important one, in what state of mind do you feel you are complete? The day you reach that one state of mind, that clarity that you have, where you say, I am now complete, that's the day when you have acknowledged your shortcomings, you've acknowledged your talents, you've acknowledged your potential, you've acknowledged your space, where you are right now, your circumstances, which includes your work, your money, your finance, your relationships, whatever it is. You have said yes to everything. And then you said, okay, you know what, in these situations, I am this person, and regardless of my circumstances changing, I will not change my core values.
Correct.
So my core values are these. Circumstances around me might change, and they will change, by the way. But my core is this. This is what I expect for myself. This is what I know who I am. And I will not allow anybody else to encroach on who I am on the inside.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And if somebody wants to, and like I said, the first few knocks are going to be people who will come and tell you, well, you're wrong. That's what people tend to do the most. You're wrong. You could do better. You could do worse. Whatever it is, people will come to you with their own opinions. But when they come to you with their own opinions, because of the balance that you have in your mind with yourself, it's going to be so easy for you just to drive them away and just take out all the noise and the clutter.
Right.
Right? So that's a superb defense that you have. Literally. It's a defense system that you have, and you can exercise that at any point in time. So after that, nobody has the power to define you any further. The only one person left in this world who can define you is yourself.
True.
And that said, the process of getting there, in terms of having those difficult conversations with yourself, you've already done the work. You've already gotten the dividends. And now you're ready now to go ahead in life, no matter what decision you make. It could be for a high-flying job, it could be for a menial job, it could be from a 9-to-5 job, it could be self-employed, whatever it is. You've decided this is who I am, this is what makes me whole, this is what makes me complete. And after that, anybody else can say anything, and that's simply an opinion which you can either accept or brush off.
Right.
So in that case, you are set. So I feel once you reach that point, you are literally bulletproof. But it does take a lot of effort. The plus side to that, I feel, which is a big one, is that all the other people who then come into your life, that you accept into your life, are the ones who have accepted you for who you are.
Because you're clear on who you are. The other
And
person knows who you
not
are.
because of what they want you to be,
Right.
not because of what they think you're going to be 5 years from now. Right? And these are the best people to be around with. Why would you want to be with a bunch of people who have no idea who you are, who have completely distorted views of your past, your present, or perhaps even your future? You're literally eliminating junk from your life. Simply because you've been able to eliminate the junk from your own mind about yourself.
Right. Very true. Very well said, Rohit. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right on that. Because if it's so important, I mean, even in everything that I do or everything that anyone does, if you're not connected with yourself, you're not going to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem even arises. I mean, every problem arises from the core, and what we both are really discussing are the cause, right? Because everything then eventually turns out to be and I can talk from the makeup point of view because I've been doing this and I've been training people. It's like, why, when you come to me, I mean, who are you? What is your personality? What do you stand for? Are you, so it's not that you can't be quirky, you have to be very sober. It can be who you are. But the point is to bring out that essence of you through these. Why do you dress a certain way? Why don't we go out in our night suits? We dress a certain way, we take the effort to wear a certain outfit and get out or step out. Whether it's a party, whether it's a shadi, or whether it's a lunch. All three are completely different. So if we can take time out to be able to do that and, dress differently, why can't we do that in real life? In terms of once you know who you are, the rest are all just costumes that you're wearing, which are fine, that's for fun.
Yeah.
And I always relate to that to a certain extent because your personality says everything about you, whether you are genuinely confident or you're just faking confidence. And when you fake confidence, it shows.
So let me ask you this. What if you are someone, and there are lots of people in this category, I myself was one at some point in time. What if you are insecure about a couple of things? First of all, you're insecure about how you appear in front of other people. Although that should never really be a factor if you have a good relationship with yourself, if you know yourself. But you know what? Not everyone does. And again, it's a process, it's a journey that one has to take. So what if you're not secure about, let's say, the way you look, or let's say if you're overweight, if your career goals aren't major enough, if you're not at peace enough, if you have an anger problem, or if you're in depression. So if you're looking at all these things, which are real things which happen to people on a daily basis, okay, how does one break it down and start the process of coming to know yourself,
Rohit,
your relationship, building that relationship? See, I could be married to somebody, and now I'm devoting my time in trying to understand her. And this actually happens. When you have relationships, you do tend to try and understand the other person. Whether that could be your spouse, your girlfriend, your parents, whoever. And we will go out of our way to try and understand them. And then when we don't get the reciprocal response from them, we feel bad, we feel attacked. And we feel like, it's not worth it. But if you were somebody who was completely satisfied in terms of your relationship with yourself, nobody else then would have the power to make you feel bad about anything. You control your emotions.
but Rohit, when you're connected with yourself, there's more clarity also, no?
Right.
There's lesser
But the
confusion.
clarity is why
There are
it will
lesser
lead you to be in that
confusions.
position where you're saying, you know what, I will hear you out because you're an important part of my life, but I will not rely on your opinion to define me. That's the main thing. Out of politeness, out of courtesy, out of whatever the case
Right.
might be. My core is solid, and I'm open to opinions from the entire world. I don't care. But just because you're giving me your opinion
Doesn't mean I have to
doesn't
take
mean
it.
I'm going to take it.
Right, right.
And I have the supreme confidence. And every single time, like, when people don't know themselves, when they don't have a good relationship with themselves, what ends up happening is anybody who is someone that they admire, by the way, for whatever reason, their words almost become like gospel to them. That, this person obviously knows more than I do, so I should be listening to this person. And that's a mistake that people make. I mean, really, people do make that mistake.
That's true.
Let's say I admire somebody who's a huge literary figure, and he or she says something about me, something about a certain situation, and I contest that opinion. But then I go back and say, you know what? Look at her. I mean, she's like fabulous. Or when she says something about me, I'm like, you know what? Maybe she's right. And then I will take her opinion and make that my reality.
That's true.
And then I'm not living my own reality anymore. I'm living somebody else's reality of me. And that also a reality projected in a fleeting moment of time.
Very well said.
So I'm sitting out there for weeks and months on end thinking about what she said to me, whereas she's completely forgotten about that by the end of the evening. That's the level of power we give to people when we don't have a good enough relationship with ourselves.
And that's getting more and more scarce, right?
Exactly. But
Because
no, it's getting more and more, yeah, you're right, scarce. But the way I would put it is that it's getting more and more common. So if you are having that bent of mind, if you have that bent of mind, anybody else's opinion, anybody that you like, respect, or whatever, and there will be a lot of people in your orbit who might be of those types. Everybody's giving you their opinion. You're listening to them. You're accepting those opinions to define you. You literally end up being a goddamn mess. Because you haven't made the effort of having a relationship with yourself. And tomorrow, if that doesn't live up to somebody else's standards, that's not your problem, that's their problem. So, you've got to have the balls, you've got to grow a pair and say, you know what, I don't care. You're more than welcome to give me any advice. But at the end of the day, whether I accept that or not is on me. I choose what I choose to believe. Tomorrow, if you're giving me advice that makes me a better person, that helps me raise my bar, my standards, I will love you, I will respect you. But if I'm acutely aware that where you're coming from is not intended to make me a better person, but to make them feel like they're better than me, I should be able to know the difference.
the noise doesn't affect you
The
then.
noise should not be able to affect me, because a lot of people will disguise opinions as well-intentioned thoughts.
Yeah.
Darling, you must do this. You must take care of your health. You must lose a few pounds and all these things. They might say that, I'm doing this, and they will make it sound like, well, they're caring for you. No, they're not. What they're doing is making themselves feel more superior. But you have to have the sense to realize there's a difference.
Right.
And if you haven't spent the time in knowing yourself, you are doomed.
Yeah, I think it's the harder path where you just need to work a little harder in connecting with yourself, cut off the noise. Um I think me time is very important. Whether
God, thank you.
Yeah, whether it's
I tell you, me time is, I think, the biggest weapon you have.
and especially for women because we get so drowned into
Men
kids,
also.
men also, but yeah, I mean, I'm saying especially for women because I find that because my clients are all women, right? I'm sorry, but that's how it is. I mean, especially women, and I'm talking from my thing that we just get so drowned with ghar, kids, husband, cooks, maids, running the house, trying to balance everything, that we don't really take time out to spend time with ourselves. And that means not on a phone call with your best friend. That means cut off the noise and spend time with yourself. Get to know who you are, get to know what you're capable of, because that will go a long way for you all.
So here's a question for you. If you have done this in the past, this process of trying to develop a relationship with yourself, to bring clarity into your own life as to who you are, I'm sure all of you have encountered some challenges along the way. I mean, if you haven't, then clearly you haven't been doing it right. So, share with us as to what those challenges are. At the end of the day, a lot of, we all share more than we think we do. In terms of the way we think, the way we see life, it's more common than we think. So, in case, you've done that, share your journey with us, and maybe there's someone out there who can resonate with whatever you've said. And as usual, you can put that in the comments. You can send us an email at ramenrelationships@gmail.com, or you can put it on Facebook.
Absolutely. We look forward to hearing
And
from you
let this
all.
be a collaborative effort, because Gaudi can have her own opinions, I have my own opinions, you have your own opinions. And the more we share, the more of a different perspective we get on how each person is dealing with their own demons. And in case you've been able to achieve success out there, allow us to celebrate your success. And we'd love to do that. So, with that said, let's come to the last part, shot of honesty. All right, ready?
Yep.
Oh, the shot of honesty, so let's just
Clink, clink.
clink, clink. All right. Starting off with, so again, for those of you who have not been seeing the previous episodes, we do tend to finish every episode with these 5 questions that we ask. And these are questions that you can ask your better half, your spouse, your partner, anybody. And normally these are fun, but whenever a dangerous one comes along, we do warn you. So, obviously. So, anyway, question number 1. If your spouse told you he or she was not in love with you anymore, how would you react?
I think it would hurt, but I'd understand. And that's normal. I mean, it's all right to fall out of love.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say yes to the same thing, but with one minor modification. I would say, fine, I'll accept your decision. Just have the courage to tell me why. And then after that, I'll accept it. Regardless of what that is, I'm not trying to change your mind. Because if you're not in love with
Right.
me, clearly that's not been a decision that's been easily made. So just tell me why,
Fair.
and then, all right? That's number 1. Number 2, when I ask, what's wrong? And you say, nothing. How often are you actually telling the truth? Be honest.
Well, I'm pretty honest. I would say maybe 20% of the times I may not be in the mood to really talk about it at that point of time. I may need time to think. So I'd say
Hear the
nothing.
question again. Hear the question again. This is not, now she's being a diplomat. Okay. When I ask the question, what's wrong? And you say, nothing. How often are you actually telling the truth? How often is it? Nothing. Don't lie to me.
Most of the time, Rohit.
So when I say what's wrong and you say nothing, you mean nothing is wrong.
I mean, nothing is wrong. It's just I'm taking time to think about it. Doesn't mean there's a problem.
So you're not saying that the other person is an idiot for asking you the question in the first place. Because why would you ask that question in the first place if the thing was just fine? You know, you would only ask your partner that question when you thought that there's something wrong.
Yeah, but sometimes
And
when you think may not be the truth. And they really may be nothing.
look, I've been married for 30 years. Okay? A lot of times, I'm in a great mood, I'm happy, and all of a sudden, my ex-wife is in a foul mood, and I'm like, what the hell happened? So
You were the cause, Rohit.
what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to go and ask, what's wrong? And she'll say nothing. And I can tell you, 95% of the time, she is not telling the truth.
So the nothing comes out after 2, 3 days, I'm sure, in different ways.
No, nothing means nothing. I mean,
And so then nothing happens after 2, 3 days. See, I'm really honest. If there's nothing, there's nothing. If there's something, I will tell you within a day or two, anyways.
okay, so in my case, you know, whenever she used to ask me, what's wrong? And I used to say nothing. Um, yeah, I really wasn't telling the truth.
Oh, you want to?
No, I wasn't. And the reason was because I just didn't want to talk about it at that time.
Huh. Same thing. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But is it a good idea?
Or maybe sometimes, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You need to know yourself. Or, once you know your partner knows herself, and when she says, oh, instead of a nothing, you can say, I can talk about it
no,
in
no,
a
no,
day
no,
or
no,
two.
no. We shouldn't go so deep into this.
Okay.
The point is, she's in a pissed off mood. I have no clue why. And I go and ask her, what's wrong? I would love for her to say, this is what's wrong.
Ideally, as in a partnership,
doesn't
that's what we
happen.
expect. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're
Yeah,
right
but
on
in
that.
marriages, trust me,
No, you're right on that.
90% is a lie.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Third one, the apology language. This one is a bit of a thought provoker. What's more important in an apology? Hearing the words, I was wrong, or seeing a change in behavior?
Seeing a change in behavior.
Not hearing the words, I was wrong.
Because if you realize it, then it's your actions which will show that you were wrong. I mean, the problem that happens in most relationships is that it's continues. They say sorry and then they do the same thing. The change of, for me, it would be change of behavior.
Okay, so for
but-
me, I think it's both.
I mean, yeah, it'll start with I was wrong
I'll tell
and
you-
then
no,
the
no,
change.
no.
No.
I'm coming from a different space
Okay.
because I had a different past. Okay, and since this question is to me and you, so my thing is a lot of people, men and women, have trouble saying I was wrong. Literally.
Yeah, we've discussed
Their
this.
egos,
yeah.
we've discussed this,
Yeah,
right?
we've discussed
Their egos are so large that they just cannot bring themselves to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. So if a person can say that,
Yeah.
I think, at least when it applies to me, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, for me, that's 80% of the argument ended. The other thing of the behavior is 20%, at least in my mind. Because tomorrow, if the same thing happens again, I can always, circle back to the same thing and say, you said you were wrong. What's stopping you from not doing that again?
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation that I can have with the other person. But it is so frustrating to be living with someone who can never admit that they're wrong. It is so frustrating. And it's horrible. Next one. Number 4. Would you want to know the details of your partner's wildest body phase before they met you? So I'm going to repeat the question again. Would you want to know the details of your partner's wildest body phase before they met you?
I think if he's okay to talk about it, it would be nice because you get to know a little bit of the personality and, and as to what extent they can go to.
So, but then you are leaving that decision on him.
I mean, obviously, you can't force it out of anyone, right?
No, you can't force it out of anyone.
Right. So if he's willing to talk about it, yeah, it would be an interesting.
Yeah, so I would,
Aspect to his
I would, and
personality.
again, I think much
Yeah.
on the lines of what you said, I would before because I want to know the nature of the beast that I'm
Right,
dealing with.
right.
I want to know how wild she can be, how adventurous she can be, because as time goes by, we all either mellow down or we go more bonkers, whatever it is. I just want to know what she's capable of.
What if someone fakes it and says, I was like this, but actually turns out to be the opposite?
There's no way of me to verify it. Then that's just my lot in life. Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, I get you.
to pull. Okay, by the way, I'm a huge car fan, so I tend to use analogies to do with cars. So if I had a car, if I'm buying a Mustang, I want to know what that baby can do before I buy it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'd like to know it. I'm not saying I have to test drive and take the car to 200 miles an hour, but yeah, I would like to know. Not that a Mustang goes to 200. And the last one, the ultimate test. If I was offered my dream job on another continent, would you expect me to turn it down for the relationship, or would you be prepared to uproot your life to come with me?
If it's important for you, I will.
That is probably the best answer. I would say it depends on the stage of our relationship. If let's say if we were having a relationship and we were having problems there,
Huh.
something like this would
True.
just accelerate the problems. It would just make them much worse.
True. With you, with
One
you.
person's expectations out of the other.
Absolutely.
And with that, let him go far. With that, we come to the end of the episode. Share, like, subscribe, normal stuff that they say. Please do it. And we will see you next week.
See you.
This is Rohit
Corey.
saying good night.
Good night.
Bye bye.